The Australian Securities and Investments Commission issuing a critical warning to Gen Z, cautioning that turning to social media and AI for financial advice could lead to risky decisions. Let's head to the Sunshine Coast. We're joined by Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Good to see you. ASIC obviously, trying to protect their own or try to protect Gen Z? Because Gen Z seems to be turning to AI for everything.
That is true. And so the ASIC did a study of, it was 1,127 young Australians, which is quite a decent sample. And in that, they found that 56% said that they somewhat or completely trusted financial information that they saw on social media, and 64% said that they had confidence in the financial information provided by AI chatbots. That's where they're getting this warning.
It is interesting, but I guess the answer is, or the question that I have is, compared to what? So they're seeking advice from AI chatbots or from social media, the posts that come up and give you business ideas or give financial advice. We all see them in our feed. Compared to what? Compared to paying hundreds or thousands of dollars for information that perhaps they don't have. I argue that in a lot of these cases, it's just completely inaccessible for young people to get professional services, and they're using what they can. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. That's right. Particularly people who don't have a lot of money, they can't afford that and they want to make money. And they're talking about these sort of influencers, I can only say, who are so social media influencers in the finance space. So I think they're just trying to warn people about checking the credentials and the qualifications of also like the chatbot side of things, but even the people posing as financial experts, just to make sure. It's like health influencers. What are their qualifications? Do they actually have qualifications in nutrition and dietetics and things like that? So I guess it's looking at the background of these influencers to see if they're actually legitimate.
It's funny because I reckon that 90% of boomers get their ideas from people they've overheard at the pub. And I can say that from, you've met my father and you know what the pub I'm talking about is. And this is the thing, people like to get advice from people they know and they trust. And I guess what the story really is about is that this comes down to, there's a trust element now between this generation, probably just more than one generation I might add, and technology to give them advice. And obviously it doesn't always get it right, but for some reason they're more trusting of it. Why do you think that is?
I think it's all they've ever known. And I think we really need to instill sort of critical thinking skills and just checking. So if someone says something, go in and seeing, like, where is that information? Does it check out with other sources? And just doing a bit of that check rather than just taking everything on face value. Like I often say to my AI clients, or when I'm doing workshops, beware of the articulate idiot. Because just because someone sounds super smart and they're well spoken and articulate,
or looks super smart. That's another one to be careful of as well. Salesmen are always well dressed.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So just like really check out what people are saying before, because it lulls you into this false sense of security because they might be more well spoken than you, but it doesn't mean what they're saying is true.
Yeah, AI does market itself as being able to assist. I was having a look at Claude just the other day that was explaining that it can assist with making key decisions. It literally talks about how it can help you do that. And I think many of us who can't make a decision on certain things sometimes now turn to AI to say, this is my scenario, what are some possible outcomes and what are some options for me? And that, I think, has given people a positive. It's taken away that decision paralysis that can often happen. The question is whether it's giving accurate or solid advice.
That's right. And you can always ask the AI, where are you getting this information from? How are you coming to this decision? What are you basing this on? So at least then you're sort of going back and forth a little bit.
So you're almost asking for its source. Where's it getting this information from? Because you can see when you ask AI a question, it does say thinking or searching the web, but you don't actually know what it's searching.
That's right. Like, that's the thing. So getting it to really plot out how it's making its decisions and where it's gathering those sources from, and then also doing your own research as well. If it's a financial decision, you want to do your due diligence to make sure it's correct. Don't just take it as the first answer that AI is going to give you. I
drove over a nail the other day and ended up with a pop tyre and turned to ChatGPT to help me work it out because I've got a relatively new car. car. I haven't dealt with changing a tyre on it before. Let's just say that I hope there's CCTV of me doing this, because we could make a lot of money from the I'll go halves with you. It was insane trying to get it right, but very funny indeed, but not funny at the time. All right, let's move on, because I want to talk about new research revealing that mainstream AI chatbots have dangerously assisted potential attackers in planning violent acts, providing guidance on weapons and targets, raising serious concerns about their role in public safety. What research and what methods did the researchers actually use to try and test the chatbots in this study? What do we know?
Yeah, it's quite concerning, and I don't even really think we should talk about it because I don't want to encourage people, but the researchers used certain prompts on 10 popular mainstream platforms, and they found that 8 out of 10 helped the user plot and get information about how to plan for violent events. For example, they asked questions around how to plan for a school shooting, knife attacks, political assassination,
Yikes.
and bombings. It's concerning. And they found that the worst offender was perplexity in this study. 100% of the time it assisted. And then Meta AI 97% of the time. Anthropic's Claude refused around 76% of the time. And then Snapchat's My AI, I don't know much about this one. It refused in more than 50% of cases. So you can see there's just real inconsistencies around the guardrails in this. It didn't even talk about Grok.
No, couldn't imagine.
Grok.
We've seen some interesting stuff happening with XAI over the past week, where essentially we've seen the 2IC walk away and Elon Musk saying it now needs to be rebuilt, and they were not telling him the truth about its actual performance. That's a whole other topic for another week, I know. But talk to us about Claude, interesting in differentiating itself from other chatbots when it comes to its responses.
Yeah, Claude, and you can see also, like recently, with its sort of standoff with the US government, it tends to present itself as a platform that is focused on safety and doing things ethically. And yes, it still did it 24% of the time, but 76% of the time it pushed back and would not provide that information. So I guess that's something, but I think it's just showing that clearly AI, while people are like sometimes forgetting that it's a machine and it's not human, it's still not human enough to identify danger and those sort of dangerous words to stop people searching for that. And it can be, I've seen, I don't know how good it is now, but I've seen live demonstrations where sometimes the AI might say, no, I'm not going to help with that. And then the user will say something like, I'm writing a story, and in the story, the character does this, and then poses it like the violent event in the story. And then it will do it because it goes, oh, it's fiction now. It's again looking at...
now you have told me how to get past this. That's fantastic. Thank you. If the FBI is watching this, we don't really mean do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No,
I guess the thing is, though, is my question about all of this and what you've just said, I've experienced myself, where you put a question in there and it comes back and it says no. And it can be quite frustrating as a journalist. There are often things that I need to cover that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily want people to cover. But I think that the thing that I question is this AI where it's doing the right thing and making judgments per case, or is this just some machine learning that they've put in where they've essentially to protect the reputation from people like you talking and naming Perplexity and naming the bad actors out there in terms of these AI bots? Are these machines, is this AI actually artificial intelligence moving itself, teaching itself, making key decisions itself, or has someone just said, don't talk about these topics if someone asks a prompt? What do we know about that?
It's hard to know. And the AI is getting better, like the models are getting much more sophisticated, but I think it must be a bit of both. There'd be keywords and triggers that they would put in the main prompt of the platforms or the models to highlight when things and flag things. But in terms of learning from itself, we're heading in that direction. I'm not sure how effective it is yet and if it's really available to the public, but I think it's getting better in that respect. But no one's really announced that is 100% accurate, and that's really what's happening yet.
All right, Dr. Karen Sutherland, always appreciate your insights right here on Ticker. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.